We will call the village board meeting of October 11th to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Brocious.
Here.
Trustee Thuzius.
Here.
Trustee Brunner.
Here.
Trustee Polmakowski.
Here.
Trustee Hartman. Trustee Kettlebaiter. Here. President Langfeld.
Here. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the village board on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes while the village board encourages input from residents that may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noted on the agenda. Do we have anybody?
We did not receive any requests for a public comment.
All right. So, oh, I guess we do. Consent agenda, upon request of any trustee, any item may be removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration under general businesses. We have one item. Do I have a motion? I'll move approval. Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Reports, report of village officer. Village president, the only thing I want to comment on, you saw it tonight, I just want to let everybody know how we do reconsideration of items on the agenda. Robert's Rules of Order, at any time during the meeting before adjournment, someone can request reconsideration, go ahead with it right there. Our village ordinance allows for reconsideration of the next, by the next meeting. The only thing that we got to be careful of is you can't just come and decide to do that because state statute says all items that we discuss and take action on has to be duly noted. So you have to let Bill or I know, then you certainly can do that so we can put it on the agenda. So I just want to make sure everybody kind of understands the flow. I ran it by the attorney at the staff meeting and he says that's exactly how it's got to be done. That's how we do motions for reconsideration. All right, village vice president. Okay. Other trustee reports? Doug?
I just wanted to thank the student, staff, and school district for challenging but very respectful tribute to the 3 seniors lost last week. I thought they did a great job both at homecoming, the football game, and the service yesterday. It's a tough thing. I thought it was handled.
All right. Anybody else? All right, village administrator, Bill?
Yes, just quickly, reason why we're here tonight was originally scheduled for the library, the community room. The library is currently undergoing construction with the roof replacement. Unfortunately, we sprung some leaks. And so we're going through the process of mitigating that and resolving those issues with the contract. Oh.
All right, thank you. There's no other reports, are there?
We have staff in the room and on Zoom here. We can let them know if there's anything.
Okay. We'll go to general business. Number 1, discussion and possible action on a motion to reconsider action taken at the September 27th, 2021 village board meeting regarding no parking on the 2400 block of Valley Street and further consideration. Bill?
So just to repeat kind of what Paul said, first would be the actual motion to reconsider. If the village board decides to consider a secondary motion, that would be to rescind, or excuse me, repeal the previous motion. And then a third motion would be whatever action comes to that. So just a little bit of process.
So I can make the motion to rescind.
Reconsider.
I'll make the motion to reconsider the 2400 block Bailey Street parking.
Do I have a second?
I will second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on this? All right, all in, well, to reconsider under ordinance. Doug was the one that wanted to reconsider under.
I'll be happy to answer further.
Yeah, great.
So I called Bill. We had 2 or 3 residents and taxpayers make a request. And I believe it's in the best interest to do this. I believe the Public Safety Committee looked at it, unanimously voted for it. I asked what could be done for reconsideration. I was given this process. I think it should be done, so I'm bringing it back to the board.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion on this? Let's take a roll call vote.
Trustee Brochus,
No.
trustee Thuzius,
Yes.
trustee Brunner,
Yes.
trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee Hartman, trustee Calvater,
Yes,
president Langfeld.
Yes. Okay, so that passed. Now we need a motion to rescind the action that was taken on the 27th.
I'll make a motion to rescind the action that was taken on the 2400 block of Yellow Street.
I will second.
All right, any discussion? All right, roll call vote.
Trustee Calvater,
Yes,
trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee Brunner,
Yes.
trustee Thuzius,
No.
trustee Brochus,
No.
president Langfeld.
Yes. All right, now we're at the third stage is a motion on what action you want to take.
I'll make a motion to remove the no parking from just the 2400 block of Valley Street.
Do I have a second?
second.
All right, discussion.
I thought that's what we did.
Right, we're reconsidering that.
No, we decided not to remove it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought, yes, that is correct.
We decided not to remove it, that's why.
Yeah, the original motion was to remove, remove the no parking restrictions on 2400 block. That tied the previous meeting.
Oh,
Therefore it failed.
So it's the exact same motion.
gotcha.
All right, do we need any more discussion? All right, let's do a roll call vote.
Trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee Calvater,
Yes,
trustee Brochus,
Yes.
trustee Thuzius,
No.
trustee Brunner,
Yes.
president Langfeld.
Yes. All right, so move. All right, discussion and possible action regarding draft 2022 budget. I'd like Bobby to go through her memo quickly, and then we'll open it up for discussion and questions.
The top there, I just pointed out that since the initial base budget was presented, we were, changes totaled about 94,000. Some of those things were, the 54,000 of supplementals. The other big one was the reduction in the transportation aid. The one handout I gave broke down both the 93,000 and the 54,000. And then in number 1 there, we're just kind of talking about the differences in the tax levy versus tax rate. The example I used was a pie, where the levy is the size of the pie, and the tax rate is like how big your slice of the pie is. And then levy limit is just something we need to be aware of, that we can't just levy whatever we want. There is a maximum. And as the village grows, so, the next few years we'll have a lot of new homes coming in and lots, so our levy limit will get higher. But that won't always be the case. We will have some years where there's little or no growth, so we just need to be aware of that. And then expenditure restraint, we really haven't talked about a lot lately. That's just a program that the state uses to incentivize municipalities to keep their expenditures in check. So if we stay within this year, we get a 4% increase in expenditures, then we'll receive just kind of like an extra revenue in 2023. And so, yep, thanks, Bill. So here's the sheet I was talking about, where we list out the changes there that add up to the 93,900. And the top one being the supplements there, which then are listed at the bottom of the sheet. So I guess that's kind of what we'll maybe be discussing tonight, is what ones of those supplements we want to adjust, or if everyone's comfortable with the increases as they are today to the levy where we have it, then I guess no further discussions really needed, but that's your guys' decision. And then this sheet's always been helpful in the budgeting process. It shows where we are. And then what happens if we add or reduce the levy? What happens to the, levy percentage change? What happens to the tax rate? So that's a very helpful document there. And it does say on the top of that, so right now, yep, on the $300,000 home, the increase is estimated to be at $57 as the budget stands today.
Want me to flip to any other pages?
I don't know if Jay wants the.
This is yours, and then, or you do what you think is helpful to us, and then I'll open it up for.
No, I just include some other history and graphs about expenditures, levy, rate. If anyone took a look at those or have any questions on them.
Okay. I will open it up right now for any questions for Bobby on the material that she has put together. Any questions? Well, I guess I'll make some comments. I just want, and these are comments from me as president. We all received the report that shows that we have a high tax levy compared to other communities in Dane County. I don't see that as a positive. I think it could work against us when we're trying to bring businesses in. I think we should be working so we don't have, compared to our other communities in Dane County, in the middle or in the lower end of it. I'm not expecting to have huge cuts in our budget to get there. I think the way to decrease the gap is to have smaller increases than the other communities, so we close the gap. I know Bobby uses a little different, but it was also shown that over the last 5 years, we've increased our tax levy by 30%. That's an average of 6% per year. Inflation in COLA has been about 2%. You gotta remember that's compounding. That's not just like with interest. So those amounts become bigger even though the percentage is there. I think something we need to really start looking at is the levy limit. She's expressed that, shows that we're at 95% of that. So we have a push of $165,000. You cannot go over that under any circumstance. That's state law. We were getting very, very close.
We could do a referendum to go over the levy, like you can, but it's
That is true.
not
It's a
designed.
school district, but it's something we would have to do versus we can't just go over it and say sorry and move on. So that's concerned. Last year, on a house of $250,000, we raised taxes by $18.80. For that same house, it's going to be $45. That's 2.5 times what we did last year. I don't see the justification in that. We also have to remember that water rates are going to increase 40 to 60% over the next 2 years. It's a different pocket, but it's the same people's paycheck that is paying for that. So I think we really need to take consideration of the big picture on all what's costing our taxpayers. And I want to just give you a perspective also from, this is from a taxpayer. I'm kind of a frustrated taxpayer right now. There's comments that are made that, people have a willingness to pay taxes, so that's okay. And quite frankly, I don't believe taxes falls under the category of willingness. I think that things that fall under that would be going to a nonprofit or giving to a cause or your church where you have control on if you're going to give and how much. Taxes to me is one of those requirements. You have to pay taxes or there's a punishment. So I want to make sure when I write my check every December, it's not because I'm willing to pay taxes, it's because I'm required to pay taxes. So I think we can't go behind that. It's something that we require, and it's a requirement, and there's penalties if you don't. And then I hear you get what you pay for. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of thinking, okay, what am I getting that other communities, what am I getting that the other communities don't have that I'm paying higher taxes? And I look at, we have probably a mediocre village hall. We probably have one of the poorest police stations. We don't have a community room or a mass place where if we had emergency people. Our pool is aging and being held together. We don't have even a room or a building that the village owns that we can have voting in. In the service area, we don't have 24/7 police coverage. We don't have curbside leaf pickup. So I'm not sure we can justify with the services, and we certainly can't say we've been investing in our employees when one of the biggest items in this year's budget is to get our employees up to an average or a competitive salary. So we haven't been really investing in our employees. So I think we need to take this all into consideration. I think the 3.97 is too high. I do have proposals of 3 cuts that would bring us down to a 2.37, which I will hold off right now until I hear the discussion if there's comments on statements that I just made. Right now, I can't support a 3.97% increase.
And when you say,
Go ahead, Judy.
and when you're saying like, as far as the cuts, are you looking at only what's on this page, but they've already said increase for the levy for the base budget? Or that is where you're thinking?
No, I got a mixture, and I have reasons for each one.
And not just ones on here?
No,
No, okay,
so it's all in the budget.
in the budget, right, but not just what she listed on?
No.
Okay.
No.
No,
Down.
Wow, okay, thanks, Jay. There's a lot in that, in your speech there that I think you've prepared and so be it, that's great. I'm glad you did for your sake. But I thought there was just a lot of, I mean, it was all opinion, and I think we need to remember that. Even though you're village president, everybody here is a voting member of the board, and those were a lot of opinions. I think I'm not gonna go tit for tat on each one of them, but I want to point out one thing. The willingness to pay part is willingness for people to live in Cross Plains versus somewhere else and pay. It's not a willingness to pay taxes, it's a willingness to pay them here to this community. And I think that's very much an argument that I hear a lot, that they would rather stay here in Dane County for that matter, which is certainly much higher than most of the surrounding counties because of their willingness to pay here and what you get for your money. So I will say that I'm here in this village because of that. I think that using the levy is a bit of a ruse. You keep using the levy. You used it in the report that I was not a fan of from the financial committee. The levy, though it does measure, you can measure it against other communities. I understand that part of it, but it doesn't measure the tax rate. The tax rate is really what I think we should be focusing on here because of the ever-changing dynamics in each community is different, and I understand it's difficult to measure, but it's important, and maybe the most important measure when you compare us year to year. So for those 2 reasons, and a couple of, and the last thing I'll say is that we went through all of these points that are, at least are on here from the budget increases from previous years, and we did approve them at last meeting. I understand that we were going to see them again here today, but we did approve them at last meeting. I'm not saying that there can't be cuts in some of these, But I'm not looking to cut just to cut or to use it as a stump speech. I'm looking to cut if really it is a true cut that will not have a negative effect on the community.
Bill, and then
So, a couple points about that. One is, have the directors gone through, I know they've gone through their budget because we gave them a 1% increase per department. But have they gone through their department and weeded out things that are no longer needed or of use? I mean, there's always additions for every budget. But I don't really see very many subtractions out of things coming out of the budget. You know, that's one thing that could be looked at. I agree with you, Jay, that we just had that report 2 months ago about how high we were. And you look at our village, which is a nice village, but we don't have commercial businesses in here. We do have some, but we don't have what the other communities have. We don't have what Mahora does. We don't have what Wanakee, Verona, any of those other communities that have lower taxes. They also have booming commercial business in there, and we do not. So we are relying on the homeowners to pay 90%, 89% of all the tax levies within the year. So it is a burden. It is a burden on all, and you have people on fixed income. We're gonna take these people and drive them out of their homes in Cross Plains because we continue to increase without decreasing anything. Okay.
When I look at, page 9, which is the total expenditure summary, that's just strictly dollars and cents, I believe. You see a big increase over 10 years, $1.5 million, 34%. So I'm going to make 2 comments. One is I don't think we've been cohesive or partnering in our facility strategy. We kind of have a lot of different facilities all over the place, and they'll cost a lot of money to maintain. That's one comment. The other thing is I want to, pay people fairly and competitively to work here, but I also want to engage them. And, I come from corporate America where there are programs 5S, lean manufacturing, they review duplication, services no longer needed. They don't just keep spending money every month or every year. I think sometimes the municipality falls into that trap. I'm not trying to pick on any of our staffing, I just think that's a direction that we can give department heads. I'll just use one, a long time ago, Springs used to handwrite every inventory ticket, and they would have 30 or 40 people who'd have to punch them all into the computer system. So we took advantage of new technology and we're actually able to eliminate that position, save a lot of money. Obviously, that's very, very low hanging fruit. We may have already had a review like that, but I certainly think there could be an opportunity to engage staff and people who do the work every day because they know the job better than anybody. I think there's probably some things we pay for and some services that we provide that maybe aren't well received or even important to our customers, which are our residents. And we're all residents as well, so we all see that. So, I think there's an opportunity to look at, number one, a more cohesive strategy for facilities, because I'm not proud of overseeing some of the things we do here. And part of it, these decisions are made to try to save short-term money, which costs us long-term money. And, when you look at that amount of expenditure over the last 10 years, you certainly understand why the tax are. I get it. And I think we can have a little more dialogue, a little more positive engagement from some residents who might know a few more things around. So, tough decisions, but I think we can look at the whole picture. And also, wants versus needs.
I would like just to respond, Kevin. I think you're mistaken when you say the tax rate is the way to go. The state and all their programs use levy limits. If that's what it's called, levy limits, and reimburse keeping your levy down. It's because it's harder to manipulate it. Right there, what did you spend last year? What are you spending this year? The tax rate ties to basically equalized value, which very difficult to keep a balance on that. So I'm gonna just disagree with you on that one point. I guess what I would like to do, and because I feel I need to, is I'd like to propose 3 cuts. And we can have that discussion. If people don't want to go with that, that's fine. But I'll give you the 3 cuts and why I'm suggesting them. The first, I would remove $12,000 from road maintenance. That's the maintenance / infrastructure. I've talked to Jerry on that. It's not a big deal for him. I'm justifying that is we've doubled the amount of money for road replacement. We're also going to be spending money on the engineering of Brewery Road from Laufenberg to Valley Street. And we also lost $32,000 in transportation aid. So I think we need to make some cuts to equal that. I think we're compensating with going twice as much on road replacement plus replacing a big stretch of road on Brewery Road. So that's, I would cut 12,000, it's at 52,000. It would go down to 40,000. The next one would be the money that was approved for the administrative assistant. I think it's a fairness thing. Every one of the department heads put in requests for other types of financial benefits for their people, like moving them up in grade, longevity, paying for certain education and certificates. And we agreed that we were going to put those all to the side and have a subcommittee and just look at the increase in wages. But the administrative assistant, we didn't follow that. We went and did the whole package. So I believe that should be removed and put into the committee to look at. Then we would be consistent with how we have done the other employees. So that would be $33,000. And then the last one would be to reduce the money we gave to the chambers from 12,000 to 6,000, with the thought that in 2023 then we would add the second 6,000 to make them at 12,000. I think this gives them a good start. It may not be enough for them to necessarily get a full-time, part-time, but I think they should be able to contract out to bring in some special events and to do some of their work. Plus, we've been working very hard in bringing businesses, so I'm hoping they join the chambers. I don't know what the chamber's charges, but I think with the work we're doing, bringing in businesses, plus they're just reorganizing, so I would recommend that we reduce that by 6,000 and then with the idea of giving them the next 6,000 that we took away in 2023, spread it out. So those are my 3 recommendations for cuts to the current proposed budget. Bobby?
I just want to know where you got the 33,000 for the administrative assistant, like.
I got it from your, right here. I got it from something you submitted to us on a supplement. It says $33,695.
Okay. So the levy impact is only the 17,100 though,
Oh, okay.
not 33.
So it's 17,000?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Why does it say 31?
because it's sewer and water takes part of it. It would be still a total savings of 33, but not against the levy, it would be only 17, thank you. So that's as much as I thought then. It is what it is, 29 to 35.
And Jerry, when you talking about the 40, he was, or the 12,000, he's in the.
Yeah, he actually said, well, it's usually the history that one gets hit. Balanced the budget. We haven't done it the last couple of years, so.
It's been brought down to 10,000.
Yeah, so I'm taking, it's at 52 and I'm bringing it down to 40, but you gotta remember, we up from 100,000 to 200,000 for it, so.
Yeah, part of that strategy and conversation in the past was putting money in that amount and capital.
Right.
We're balancing right now.
It's like a tennis, yeah, and it would be probably helpful, I think, to consider that if that infrastructure bill ever gets passed, there might be some funding for road work, but that seems to be one of the priorities of that. Okay, I have Judy and then Bill.
For the chamber, actually, I feel like we need them right now more than ever, just because I know they're reaching out to the daddies and they're reaching out to all the new businesses coming to town. Right now, I think it's $250 per business. So if you cut by $6,000, that's 24 new businesses. They would need to come in and make up that $6,000. I think that's a stretch. I don't think they can make that up.
I guess I should retract. Instead of giving them 12,000, we're giving them 6,000 versus last year. Bill.
So one of the things that I've been asking for is, do we have an accounting of the transportation aid? So we get in so much money from the state and we just throw it in general. And we assume that all of that money is being used on roads. But I would still like to see how much money we're getting in from aid and how much money we're spending specifically on road maintenance or transportation aid within our village.
Well, we have that. And, that was on there. Transportation aid is what, 284,000, and maintenance is at 52,000. But on your request, I remember her writing something up that showed where the money went.
I don't understand.
I don't know, my memory's bad.
Maybe it
I
was
might-
from the finance committee, but there was something that,
I know you can count like the debt service payment, so like money we've borrowed in the past to pay for roads can count towards using that money to pay the debt service. So in
Okay.
addition to current year projects, it can also be used to pay debt for borrowings.
and I think it pays some salary for like snow removal and.
It also buys the salt for winter maintenance. It pays for the, all the time relative to, snow removal, both regular and overtime. And, it also goes towards the crack filling program that we do. So we're eating up a pretty good chunk of it.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is that we have an accounting for it. You know, I understand what you're saying, but I also feel that, you know, we're just throwing it in general and we don't know how we're spending it. We're just spending out of general mostly.
No, I think, here's what it is. Didn't you send out Schedule C? Schedule C is required for the transportation aid, right?
Oh, for the municipal finance report that the auditors put,
Isn't it called Schedule 3? And I thought that covered what he was referring to.
Yeah, we can bring that. We're doing a number of things to try and account for it. I don't know if there's a master summary of what all Bill is asking for. But general transportation aid covers a bunch of items, including all that Jerry listed and plus the salary time allocated. And one of the things that we're doing now with our salary system, our accounts payable is tracking how much our people are spending on streets versus water versus other utilities. I don't know, I haven't seen a master list of where exactly it comes from, but the way that the state comes up with formula for general transportation aid is based off of past 3 years, 5 years of road expense. So I'm sure it's in this.
But I think you have to file a Schedule C to justify the expenses. And that lists all the expenses that can be, I'm almost,
right, that's, I think it's on the MFR that the auditors put together. That's one of the forms or whatever. And that's where the state gets our numbers from to calculate the,
I'm pretty sure you got all sent that on your request there.
Anybody else? Kevin? I'd like to speak in support of the administrative assistant. I mean, it's one thing to see staff, when I'm looking at in the direction of our well, the staff in the room right here now, Bill especially, but the administrative assistant, I feel, can take more weight off of their shoulders. One, two, as I suggested last meeting, I think you could start at mid-season, and if you wanted to do a review before mid-year, you could put half of it in this budget. And if you saw it fit, but to not put any of it in this budget, and then wait a full year to up that position, I think is a lost opportunity and putting more stress on the current staff. So if you have to cut it, I'd say cut it in half and start mid-year.
And do you have data supporting those comments? Or is that an opinion?
I have data supporting it, yeah. How many hours did you work last week, Bill?
No, we're talking about administrative assistant.
How many hours did she work? She's limited.
Yeah, but third, I know what I'm saying is, you're saying that she needs more hours. And I'm saying, how do you know that?
Because it's taking off the hours of other people that are working their tail off, Jay. That's it. It's
So the
filling
question,
it in.
Bill, is what work is he doing that he could give to the
Yes,
administrative
her,
assistant?
yes, or Bobby, our clerk, or Renee. Yes, all of them.
Yeah, so currently, she's taken on more responsibility, especially in the building inspections. But the proposed raise for the administrative assistant position includes not only the increase in building inspections, which we're going to see, where we have seen that in the workflow process that's required, but especially on the water side, the utility side, and the stormwater, and that's why we broke it up so much to those different utilities. You see the reports this whole previous year or this current year, the current requirements in the MS4 reporting that's coming up, and the inflow and infiltration, the tracking that needs to get done. We anticipate that the workload is going to be there for in this coming year, 2022.
All that was in the report that you provided in the supplement, some of that information was in the supplement that you provided.
Right here it is. This is the result. This is it.
Yeah, I provided that information. I believe we split it with those three utilities.
Right, that's what it says.
I think the three proposals should be considered separately, and I would support the road maintenance one tonight. I definitely would not support the chamber one because we didn't give them any money last year, and I think they're doing great work, and it's money well spent. I don't have an opinion yet on the head of the chamber.
Okay, here's the reason why we had this meeting is we need to have a public hearing on the budget. So we kind of have to have, not that, we definitely can change it after the public hearing, obviously, or there'd be no purpose. But they need something to publish so people know. So it's not that we can't, I just want to let people know that the reason we're here tonight is to try to lock this in as close as we can. So they publish it so people have an idea of what the budget is going into the public hearing. And we have to do the public hearing. We're doing it in October and November, the public hearing.
We're doing a public hearing. We anticipate at the November meeting, and so the idea is to get as close as we can, because we can't have significant changes between the public hearing, proposed budget, and the final budget. And then we intend to have it ready for the village board approval after that public hearing, because we have to submit that by December 7th.
Oh, and I think the vote should be three separate ones, not based on the discussions.
No, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to make sure when people vote. So, Bill, would we be able to bring some of this back up at the next meeting?
Uh,
Too late.
it's gonna be really tight. So if we could technically, we have to double check on the calendar. I think if we brought it up at the next meeting, we have to turn around and get it to the newspapers that Friday. Because it has to hit the newspaper at the minimum of 15 days before we take any action on it. So that would work.
Judy?
Just curious, have we went back to any of the staff to see in their minds, is there anything that they could cut? I mean, rather than us picking and choosing, I mean, they all feel like this is exactly what they want, and they don't feel like there's any room that they can cut by any chance.
Yeah.
I was asking that, though.
No, we did, I wrote up a number of suggestions. And for example, the administrative assistant, they felt it'd be better to move that versus, because one of my proposals was to take the raises from the employees and spread it over 2 years. You know, I'm trying to get it where we spread this over, and so, I mean, this is a big bite that we're doing.
Right, no, I agree.
So I'm trying, I threw out a number of things, so no one came up and said, yeah, cut this.
Right.
I threw ideas out there after looking at the budget and trying to come up with ideas and bounced it off staff.
And I just want to say, I think staff did a great job of keeping the base budget low. I think we were actually 0.97 at the initial budget. The reason why it went above is because of the changes in health insurance and other things that are out there. And so I want to say that we're pretty slim in regards to our base budget. In order to get the decrease in the rates that the village boards were maybe looking for here, we would have been cutting projects, programs. So we've done it over the last 2 years, and I think if you ask any of the staff, we're keeping it pretty slim.
Michael?
Just two quick comments. One was, did you see an email about how the street lighting budget might drop by like $6,000? So you're keeping an eye on that, or notice that the bill might change?
I did, we haven't
Received the,
received the bill because MG&E changed their billing software or something. I don't know if you know, I'll notice on your latest bills. So we haven't actually gotten ours because I even called them and said, hey, we haven't gotten our bill yet, because I was gonna calculate.
right, to see, like,
Right.
okay, yeah, it's because, yeah, they changed it because their billing system is why they approved a new rate structure for the lights on September 1st, and it looks like the village is gonna get a savings of possibly $6,000 in the line item next year. That's something to keep in mind. I was just curious about that.
Yeah, I was hoping to see the next bill, actually.
Like, so it actually is like for real.
Yeah, I think the current billing cycle ends today, maybe even, so hopefully
Sure.
we'll get a bill. I can check on that.
Okay, great. My second question is, did Pam talk to you about the supplements for the library? Hey, did she send you an email about?
She did
what it
send
is?
me an email, yep.
So are those the numbers that we're gonna go with, or was it her supplemental number that you wanted?
I'm not sure I followed your question.
My question is, it was just concerning the salary, because on there you have like 700 and 725, whereas Pam requested as her supplement, like 1150 for each person.
Yeah, so her supplement didn't include the reduction in the merit pay.
Okay,
So her supplement was to add, the 1150 or whatever per person, but then it was discussed with the board that those people would lose their merit pay. So
oh,
now the actual
without
change is
where it's
less
out.
because it nets out.
okay, well, if she agreed to it, I just saw the 1150 and just saw that was 700, and so
So yeah, that's the
they just didn't
difference.
match up. I just
Yep.
wasn't sure why or what the rationale was, but that's whatever, this is a merit pay reduction, all that, I'm good with it. It was just a question, and if
Yep.
you figured it out.
So that
Sure.
number is the net between their bump up less their merit pay loss.
Okay. Thank you. That
You're
was,
welcome.
and with regard to the three, the maintenance thing, that's fine as long as Jerry signed up with it. The admin assistant, I know that position has worked quite a bit. It's a large amount. I'm on the fence. I did like Kevin's idea of putting half in if we want to review, so that it's still an idea. Rather than the whole 33. If, I mean, you say you're asking like for data, like would this be like, how is it more justified is like what your concern is?
Well, I think we had a lot of department heads put in benefits outside of just wages. And I think it needs to be studied. I mean, you know, do we pay an extra 1% for someone who gets a certification in being a plant manager for the sewer plant? There's longevity that one of them put in that they thought. There were step raises that people put in. There were people who thought people should go from grade 2 up to grade 5. You know, we could have had all those individuals discussion, but it would have taken forever. So what we agreed to in that meeting is we were going to set that all aside and have a subcommittee and just look at wages. You know, so to me, we're changing, for one employee, we're changing that. You know, and that's where I'm going through. So we increase someone's hour, why aren't we increasing someone's longevity or their step raise or all these other things, or bump them up to a grade? I guess, you know, we in that meeting decided we were just looking at increase in hourly rate. So I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm saying it should go to the committee to look at.
So that committee would expand its purview beyond looking at longevity pay and actually whether or not the village needs to hire a new employee or not, because that seems like what you're almost saying.
No, what I'm saying is
that doesn't seem like that's the purview of that committee.
if you look at his report, Bill's report, there's a whole section and there's probably 8 to 9 areas that the committee's gonna look at.
Sure, but expanding someone from part-time to full-time isn't what that committee's gonna look at.
How is that any different than moving someone from grade 2 to grade 5?
Because all those other benefits like longevity in grade 2 to grade 5, all just apply to full-time employees, I would make the assumption. When you have a part-time employee, do they even fall under the umbrella of this committee? Because so we're gonna put all the lifeguards that are part-time into grades, or are they just part-time employees and just?
I think that report put them in, but.
Okay, I'm just curious.
We didn't have any part-timers in that report.
So grade 1 is in part-timers?
So that's just my question there. It would almost have to be a whole entire evaluation for need of new village employee. And
I don't see that any different than deciding what the grade someone goes into. You're looking at job description. That's what you're basing it on.
well, I don't know. I think it's a little different, but that's all right. But so then talking specifically about how do you decide whether or not the village needs a new full-time employee? I mean, how do we know that? But if we're listening to staff and they're saying that they need a new full-time employee, should we defer to staff and say they need more help? Or are we going to start a committee to examine whether or not they need more help?
Well, that's my question. But Michael, first of all, we did that. That employee was 20 hours. Last year, we bumped them up to 30. We don't even have a full year of them at 30 yet. All right, I mean, I'm just throwing it out. I mean, we bumped them up to 30 years last year in the budget. We're not even through the year yet, and we're already gonna bump them up without any type of evaluation. I just don't think that's a good way of doing it. Like you said, that's my opinion.
Right, exactly. And I don't know either. I mean,
Doug and Kevin.
So I think I'm hopeful beyond the committee. I think we got some good people who will be a part of it. One of the things I would like to some of the more private business things like, finance and looking at ways to be more efficient and redundancies and some of that stuff, which isn't probably a typical of what a wage and benefit maybe just look at. That's why I think it's good to have outside HR representation and people who look at that. I think what I hear tonight from what Jay has said is I think there's probably an opportunity to compromise and do the 12,000 for the road maintenance and half of the admin position. That's what I think might work tonight. work for the publication.
Kevin? I was just wondering who gets to evaluate whether or not there's a need to turn a 30-hour week staffer to a 40? Is that a staff position? Is that a board position? Or is that a committee job?
It's a board. Committee will do recommendations, that's how our system is.
It-
So for state statute that allows certain committees, authority and responsibility would be the committee that would make recommendations to the board.
I guess I thought maybe the job would be more of staff to do the actual evaluation and the board really just approve the budget, whether or not it was paid for or not. And if the staff comes in and says, yeah, we really need this person, the board can say no because it's a budgetary question. But it's not up to the board to figure out if we need a staff person or a full-time staff person or not.
Okay, we disagree on that. I think that's very important. But, all right, anybody else? Otherwise, we can move this on. I want to keep you all night here.
Sure. And I was just gonna say with regard to chamber, I understand you're going to need money, but I don't know, it might be a half cut compromise just to take 6,000 out. I don't know, that one entirely.
Well, all right, I think I'll take Doug's, and I don't know, if it's QB2 suggestion, we'll just, and does anybody else have any proposed cuts? Bill?
On the chamber, didn't we used to give 10,000?
15.
Oh, we used to give
The
15.
last amount we gave was 15.
Well, right, but I think before that, I think we bumped them up because of whatever was going on, right?
There was a moment that was at 10.
Yeah,
right.
And you're right, you're correct.
Right, and I think we said, every year we say, this is not what you expect every year. We're going to give you what we can from the budget, so, you know, I guess, you know, I would bump it down to 6, but I would bump it to 10 for the chamber. I thought.
I'd support that. To put the 10 for the chambers.
Yeah.
I'd support that.
I'd support it, and I'll make a point that I feel good about the energy of having a new part-time hire. I feel you need to engage volunteer people and residents and businesses in our village, and that's when you won't have to have a chamber contribution in a couple of years if it's engaged in the running. So I would support the 10 there, half of the admin, and then the 12 from Gary.
All right, let's just do this one at a time. My question to everybody, does anybody else, besides the 3 that have been talked about, does anybody else have any cuts that they would recommend to this group for the budget? Okay. So we will start with 12,000 reduction in road maintenance. Does anybody want to go higher or lower with that? Well, let's just get some, I'll make a motion. All right,
To reduce 12,000.
I'll second that motion.
I got a motion and a second discussion.
Well, you said, do we want to go lower? Can we make it lower?
I mean, we can do whatever we want. I think you have to look on what is given to you on PDF 8. And look at what you think is a reasonable tax increase to individual. I personally think you should be looking at the levy because that's what the state uses, and that's what people actually end up paying. That's the size of the pie. So right now, if we do nothing, it's at 3.97. So the question is, you should be going down that table and looking what you think. If you're comfortable with 3.97, okay. If you think it should be down at 2.5, then we gotta find $45,000 worth of cuts. If you think it's gonna need to be at 2.37, then you need to find 50,000. So that should be the starting point. Is what do you think is a reasonable tax levy for our taxpayers, looking at the big picture of what people are dealing with it in this day and age? Judy?
And I think we also have to remember, this is just our piece of the pie. This isn't the school, this isn't MATC and so forth. So even if it only goes up $57 on us, your tax bill could really go up a couple hundred depending on the rest of it. So the rest of the whole tax bill. So I think that's one thing that we have to remember. I mean, I know we can't control that, but what we can control is what we got.
Plus, we gotta remember the water rates are gonna go way up.
Exactly, that's what I'm.
Alright. So that to me, just so, that's where I start. I look at that and I think what is reasonable for what people are getting. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on the road maintenance? All right. Let's do a roll call
Trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee Kettlebaiter,
Yes,
trustee Brochus,
Yes,
trustee Thuzius,
Yes.
trustee Brunner,
Yes,
president Langfeld.
vote. Yes. All right, let's do the administrative assistant, please.
I'll make a motion to reduce the proposed amount for the administrative assistant to half a year, which would bring the levy impact to half of 17,100. I guess that's 18,550, or sorry, 8,550.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. According to her document, it says levy increase would be 23,450. So I'm not sure, I don't see anywhere in here where the 17,000 is coming from.
Page 7, the PDF.
right. I see that, but you're right, it doesn't match, but she's was submitted.
Because-
Right. So that one was done earlier on. This is a more recent updated. And I don't remember what the,
Is that, it was merit pay as well?
Or did you shift more of the expense to the water and sewer utility in that example?
could have been that. I don't remember exactly, but this is my most recent calculation.
If you shift more of the pay and benefit to the utility, you bring the levy down.
All right, I have a motion of Bill.
no, yeah, so, we're talking 8,500 for the levy, but are we also talking about reducing by half for water and sewer?
Have to.
It would all be.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Brunner,
Yes,
trustee Thuzius,
Yes.
trustee Brochus,
Yes,
trustee Kettlebaiter,
No,
trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee, or president Langfeld.
No. All right, motion carries. All right, we have Chambers.
I'll make a motion to change the amount we contribute to the chamber in 2022 from 12,000 to 10,000.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, discussion?
Can I ask a super quick question?
Sure.
How is the chamber gonna use this money?
we just hired someone for.
So it's
Their salary
mostly,
is 20,000, so half of this will go to his salary.
and you'll be able to make the rest of that up in dues and other fundraising events and et cetera.
the golf outing, Spike Rock made over 3 grand, so, but I'll support 2, I would support one out of this one.
Did what?
The golf outing made some money, Spike Rock made about 3 grand, that's why I'll support 2 grand. I also think there's an opportunity for our community
Right.
to do an event, a birthday party, a CP fest, something where we make money, where we don't have to. We have some of these thousands of dollars now.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call vote.
Trustee Kettlebaiter,
Yes,
trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee Brochus,
Yes,
trustee Thuzius,
Yes.
trustee Brunner,
Yes,
president Langfeld.
No. All right. So I guess for the October meeting, we'll have a updated budget on this. I'm looking at this. It's probably gonna be about 3 1/4 of a tax increase. I will not be supporting it. And the public hearing's in November. I wanna make sure I get the dates right.
Yeah, so the public hearing is November, and then the final resolution to adopt and levy would be in November.
I just have a quick question. But for 2021, again, on here, the change would be 2.26, and now we just passed some, and you think it's going to be 3 What do you think?
It's the tax levy you gotta look at.
Oh, I was looking at it.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm.
you can, if you,
Okay, never mind. I
yeah,
got it. I was looking wrong.
so is everybody done with this, or do you want to put in the October meeting?
But it, yeah, it would be-
Do we have to put out notice now, you said?
We do have to put out notice, and as long as it's not a significant change from what we noticed. So they put in some time for things that potentially haven't come in yet. For example, the assessed value was, is, estimate at this point, the final, we won't know that until the end of March.
You won't know that before the next meeting.
Last year it came in on the 29th. So we will not know
All right. Future agenda items. All right, do I have a motion to go into closed session? So move.
Second,
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Calvater,
yes.
trustee Brochus,
Yes.
trustee Paul Mikowski,
Yes.
trustee Thuzius,
Yes.
trustee Brunner,
Yes.
president Langfeld.
Yes. We are in closed session.
Motion adjourned.
Mark, did everybody got open, everybody cool? Bill?
that. We gotta let,
We gotta make sure it's on.
okay, we're back in open session.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, do I have a second? All in favor, say aye. All right, thank you. Hey, are you taking off real quick?